It was a reunion episode of Raptors basketball, folks. RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley returning to the Mecca in New York, where they started their careers. Meanwhile, OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn said hello to their former teammates. But on the court, the Knicks handled business, especially in the second half, beating the Raptors by 26, dominating defensively to start the third quarter and never looking back. Jalen Brunson dropped 38 points while Julius Randle notched a triple-double as the Raptors lost their 11th straight game against an Atlantic Division opponent.
Sense of urgency and focus was not there. That led to a couple of mistakes that quickly related into their points and transition, and just like opening lanes on the defensive end. We made them commit 22 turnovers, and we scored out of that 29 points. But other than that, in a half court, we got really outplayed with second chance points and offensive rebounding. They ended up having 15 offensive rebounds, and that's not on one player, that's on the whole team to do a better job rebounding there.
This game wasn't a blowout throughout. The Raptors played exceptional basketball in the first half. Barrett and Quickley combined for 15 of the Raptors' 31 points in the first quarter, and Toronto did a good job in general of forcing turnovers and getting out in transition. In fact, their defense was awesome in the first half, but New York countered in a major way in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, the third quarter was obviously, I think it was 33-21, and in the third quarter, the game kind of slipped away from us. Jalen got a couple buckets, and then got the crowd into it, and then yeah, they kind of just went on a roll from there.
Probably our intensity wasn't as high coming out in that third quarter, and they just kept coming and coming in waves. So credit to them, they're a good team, they play well, and we just got to learn from it, watch the film and be better. Yeah, I feel like we're a really talented group, especially offensively. So just trying to get those guys involved early, let them get a rhythm, and just really try to go from there, because I know when everybody's touching the ball, they want to defend and rebound and do all the extra stuff it takes to win. So just trying to show a little unselfishness, and while also still being aggressive at the same time. So.
Now, this is a new era for the Raptors, ladies and gentlemen, and the development is going to be at the forefront of their minds. Some positives: Immanuel Quickley had a season-high 11 assists and continues to explore his playmaking game, developing a higher feel for his teammates. RJ Barrett put up a team-high 20 points and barreled his way to a lot of easy buckets, especially in the first half. Scottie Barnes struggled, shooting 4 of 14 for 9 points. He looked like he might have tweaked his back in the second half and had a bit of a dud in this one. It seemed like New York's size bothered him and he couldn't get easy looks at the rim. But again, these types of games are a part of the process. Finding consistency is part of his growth into a star. And you can't bring up development without mentioning Grady Dick, who played in 16 minutes, dropped 11 points, and knocked down 3 corner threes. And it's clear that as the team continues to harp on growth, Dick will get a shot to play in this season. And on the revenge side, Precious Achiuwa stepped in for Isaiah Hartenstein and poured in 18 points and 11 rebounds. But tonight on the film room, I want to talk about Quick, his playmaking growth, and some notes on his scoring. Folks, Immanuel Quickley had 11 assists. That was a season high. Some of them just, connective, good passes here, making the extra pass to find his teammates. Others hit ahead passes. He's great at getting the team out and running in transition, but I also liked his playmaking craft in the pick and roll. So here, the Knicks hedge this screen and they send, some help. They're kind of late on the hedge, so he has two options here. He can either hit the roller in Jonte Porter. He sees Hartenstein getting back to him, so he notices Gary Trent Jr. in the corner, finds him open, makes the three. That is a good play by IQ. Heads up play as their new point guard. This was some of that great defense the Raptors were playing in the first half. Great hands by Jonte Porter to get the steal. And then once again, Quickley pushes it in transition, getting it to Scottie Barnes to get the and one. I just love the fact that Quick is so comfortable making those head-to-head passes. I don't think there's been a guy that's been so good at them since Kyle was on the team. This time, Quick just gets downhill and hits RJ in the dunker spot for a little lay-in. Once again, more playmaking craft here, so instead he rejects the screen, gets downhill, and finds RJ in the corner. Another hit-ahead pass here. This one has a little bit of English on it. Very, very nice, flashy pass there by IQ. And I love the way that he uses his threat as a scorer to draw help from, the defense. So here he is breaking down IQ one-on-one. That forces Dante to help, and so he makes that pass right over top to RJ for the lay-in. This is what I mean by that pick and roll craft too. So little hesitation move to get Hartenstein off his spot, and then gets downhill, draws the help, and kicks it and dumps it off to Jonte Porter for the finish. Really nice play right there. And then just to add to it, he's working and he's getting better at these pocket passes. Thad Young ends up with a layup. And so 11 assists, a season high for Immanuel Quickley. I think some of that playmaking growth is something that's really interesting to me, because it opens up the floor, not only for himself, because, he's such a potent scorer, pull-up shooter, and I'll get into that in a second, but him being this playmaker type, a guy who can manage a game for you, right? Some of these assists are, as your guy Samson Folk would say, not advantage created assists, but I'm focusing on the advantage created assists, the pick and roll stuff, his ability to manipulate a pick and roll and then, kick it to the corner for a three, or get downhill, do the dump off pass. These are advantage created assists. And so I think that's an area where I'm looking for Quickley to grow this season. The other area is, I think he's been a little bit too passive, especially in the last couple of weeks. He only took 4 3-point shots. I need him to take like 11, like 10 3-point shots a game. I know that sounds ridiculous, but Gary Trent Jr. took 8 today. I need him to take like 8, 9, 10 3-point shots. I think he's passing up on some looks because he's looking to get his teammates involved, because he feels that onus of, I'm the starting point guard and I have to get my other teammates involved. I can't be looking to be a score first player. I need to be able to get the other guys involved. And while I can see where he's coming from, especially being a guy who's new to the team, trying to get guys accustomed, trying to get a feel for where their spots are, there is also a level of they need him to be the scorer that he is. He is a very potent scorer when he wants to be. I think some of the off-ball actions is another area where I need the Raptors to tap into that ability a little bit more. He's so good at relocating into space, catching it, shooting off of movement. Some of those pin down things that they were doing a little bit earlier into Quickley's debut with the Raptors. Some of these things are kind of hit and miss. I need to see it more consistently. And the other thing is, just in general, not passing up on shots just because you want to get your teammates involved. I think the next step for Quickley, on top of the playmaking growth, on top of getting better as a passer, is learning how to balance the score first mentality and the playmaking ability, and using it in a way where, okay, I'm going to get to mine, but also I'm going to use that to figure out and get my teammates involved, because you need to be a good scorer in order to draw attention, in order to be able to make the passes that Quick is trying to make. And so it's sort of a double-edged sword here, where you have to be able to be a threat offensively and score, and you have to be able to make those passes. He's learning how to make those passes. I need him to also be able to get to the scoring department as well. So that's my thing with Quick. I'm kind of curious to see how he grows and how he develops. But overall, another victories and lessons type of situation here for the Raptors as we enter into what I would call a reset, a retool. Some may call it a rebuild. It probably is a little bit of a rebuild. Masai Ujiri in the press conference said this, he used the word rebuild, and then he kind of backtracked. It was like rebuild, whatever you want to call it, reset, retool, it doesn't matter. But rebuild was what he mentioned, and he mentioned patience. And I think this is a good thing to bring up to a lot of Raptors fans out there, that this team, especially shifting into a new direction, no Pascal Siakam anymore, no OG Anunoby anymore, or the last 6 or 7 months, no Fred VanVleet either. And it's a new team, new nucleus, pretty young, other than, some of the vets that they have at the back of their bench with Thad and Garrett and, Otto and whatnot. But they're a pretty young team. They got to kind of figure out what they are and they have to develop individually. So you're not going to get a lot of wins. And I think the Raptors don't expect them to get a lot of wins, but you are looking for moments of development. You are looking for Immanuel Quickley, season high, 11 assists. You are looking for RJ Barrett, 20 points, continues to be really, really good, getting downhill, attacking in transition, has grown in the playmaking department since being in Toronto too. You're looking for growth. And I think today, especially in the first half, the way they played on defense, the hounding, I wish I could have done another film room right now, but the hounding that they did on the defensive end to force turnovers from the Knicks, to make them make bad decisions in the half court, to get out and running, to get into their own offensive game. That is the type of, figuring out process that a young team like this has to go through. It's like, what's our identity on the defensive end? And they need to figure that out. The defensive side of the ball has struggled immensely for about 2 months now. And it's been a lot worse, obviously, without OG and now without Pascal. So how are you going to have an identity on that end? And what is that going to do for your offense too? And, individually, you look at Grady Dick, who made some shots tonight. Hell yeah. Awesome. Amazing. You look at RJ Barrett, who needs to get more consistent at certain areas. Maybe the 3-point shot develops. You look at Scotty. Scotty didn't have a good game tonight. And I think part of that was New York's size. Part of that was maybe just his, this is another aspect with Scotty. We talked about aggression with scoring when it comes to Quickley. It sort of applies to Scotty as well, in the sense that he isn't mentally, originally, I guess, if you will say, especially growing up, he wasn't like a score first player. His innate ability is to make plays for others and to play make and be that passive guy. Even LeBron James was like that when he came into the league, right? I'm not comparing him to LeBron, but I'm just saying, even Nikola Jokic was like that, right? You have to learn to get that aggressive mentality, to look to score. And while he took 12 shots tonight, being that number one guy, you need to have more. I think the Knicks size bothered him a little bit on the defensive end, but for the most part, I think you want that level of aggression as a scorer. That's something that you need growth from, and you need to see how they develop. So an overall good game, in my opinion, from the growth department. And yes, they got blown out. Yes, it was a 26-point loss, but you got to be patient, and I'm not going to use it. I was going to say you got to trust the process. I'm not going to say you have to trust the process, because that implies that they are in a process rebuild type of thing. And I'm not doing that. I'm not labeling it a process yet. But ladies and gentlemen, before we head out of here, I just want to say I'm going to be temporarily, at least, Raptors Republic has been so kind, so nice to allow me to do these recaps, because I want to get it to you guys. I know there have been a lot of people on Twitter being like, hey, man, miss the videos, get a video out, miss your face. I don't know how you miss the face, but hey, you said it. I see the messages and whatnot, and I wanted to get a video out to you guys. I want to have these consistently on a channel that you can look forward to. And obviously, subscribe to Raptors Republic if you have not yet. I'm here. I will be doing recaps for the foreseeable future. We will see how long this thing goes. Who knows? I'm not sure. But I wanted to make sure that I had a consistent spot to get these recaps to you guys. And I really appreciate Raptors Republic for allowing me to use their platform to do so. So, hey, thank you. Subscribe if you guys can. Do the thing you guys usually do. And I'll see you guys on Monday for the Grizzlies. Take care.